I've often thought about what my first video should be, and it became clear to me that it should be all about a topic near and dear to me: villains. Villains are an essential aspect of any great story, certainly a cornerstone of science fiction. They often complement the hero of the story as their antithesis, or their greatest reoccurring obstacle that the hero needs to overcome. Though in most stories the villain is often defeated by the hero, only to return at a later date with some new dastardly plan. Much like the myth of Sisyphus, where a man named Sisyphus is doomed to roll a boulder up a hill, only to have it roll all the way back down the hill once he's reached the top, and the man must venture to the bottom to begin his work again. Though as we have had a steady evolution in our villains over the years, we have seen this formula experimented with here and there, though the villain almost never outright wins in the end. And if they do, it's most likely because we see them change into a hero along the way. Though these are elements of the villain that make them essential to a compelling story, what makes us love them so much? Is it because of the cool costumes, the tragic backstories, the over-the-top methods they employ? Their portrayal of sheer dominance and our projecting a subliminal need to dominate through such a character? The quick answer is yes. The long answer is ultimately something one needs to find on their own, but a general summation can be made. Like zombies, villains allow us to envision everything we don't like about ourselves and maximize those aspects to the 10th degree while throwing in a menacing smile and an evil cape. They compel us to root for the heroes to defeat them because they represent something about ourselves that we dislike or may even hate. This is where we get villains in the extreme degrees that are overly ugly or ruthless, like the gods of chaos in Warhammer 40k, Darth Sidious in Star Wars, or Sauron from Lord of the Rings. All of them are bursting at the seams with corruption, unlimited power, or an endless hunger for destruction and domination. And realistically, we all have some small part of us that can relate to these things. Who doesn't want some modicum of power, if only to secure control over their own life and well-being? Who wouldn't want to dominate in their field of work or study? Why wouldn't anyone leap at the first chance of grasping an opportunity to make themselves king of the heap, despite the repercussions? If anyone were to turn these things down, most people would have a genuine curiosity as to why, and then wonder if those same opportunities are now theirs for the taking. In this way, villains are great examples of what we have inside all of us, that is the potential for varying degrees of mayhem and abuse of good intentions. Thus, we inevitably love to hate them. Another reason we may love our villains is because they're just so much fun. Who didn't get chills in Rogue One when they saw that hallway scene at the end when Darth Vader appears in a red-hued mist to cut down all those rebel soldiers to the tune of a background orchestra? Who didn't love seeing Gary Oldman's character in Fifth Element? Or Bram Stoker's Dracula? Or Lost in Space? That man really knows how to play a great villain. This is what makes Disney villains work so well also, because more often than not, they're accompanied by very fun, villainous songs, wacky henchmen they can throw around, comedic bits and asides, or they're just downright monsters. The point is, they're incredibly compelling on the surface, which makes us intrigued as to what may lay beneath. This is what's led to things like so many countless origin stories being made popular over the last couple of decades, which also furthers the potential connection we as an audience can build with the villain, making them a more relatable character, and thus making their tragic end all the more meaningful. In a way, the villain almost becomes your friend. In terms of the aforementioned Disney villains, who would you rather choose to hang out with? Hercules from Disney's Hercules or Hades? 9 times out of 10, I bet people would chuckle it up with Hades while he kicks pain and panic around trying to take over Olympus. This leads into another reason why we may love our villains so much. They more often than not offer the exact opposite disconnect from reality that our heroes do. In most stories, heroes connect with us in defeating and overcoming obstacles and showing us that if we believe in ourselves and have all these kinds of virtues or some such, that we too can overcome our own adversities. Villains show us that while we do have all of these things we may dislike about ourselves, we can still live life to the fullest and make the best of our circumstances, though at an equally distributive measure of our own life. For instance, if someone is regrettably good at lying, they may be able to lie their way out of getting a speeding ticket or save themselves from being fired at work. A wrong done, but it was for the betterment of one's long-term well-being. Now, for myself, I grew up loving villains outright. I always wanted to command armies, have overwhelming powers, all while being the coolest person in the room. In much the same way, society now fantasizes gangsters from the 1920s. I looked to villains in the same light. I never wanted to be Superman. I always rooted for Lex Luthor. Batman was cool, but you never knew what the Joker was going to do next. Everything from the power to the mystery of the character compelled me and made me cheer when it seemed like they were going to get the upper hand. Suffice it to say, Empire Strikes Back is my favorite Star Wars film. And though they are more often than not thought of just as a necessary plot device, I think we owe a lot more credit to the creation and sustainability of tried and true villains. They expose us for what we really are and look good doing it. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, my friends, live long and prosper. And may the Force be with us all.